I've never been more optimistic about the 9 guys that are getting in the game for us.
Yeah, and you guys, kind of unique situation in terms of seniors. You have 3, but a lot of role players on this team that know what their expectations are, and they're willing to accept it, and it's working out.
Yeah, when I said this at the end of our post game meeting on Wednesday, or sorry, Thursday when we got back from Rushville. Last time we had a bevy of sophomores playing a lot of minutes at the varsity level. It was my very first year, and that was a 5-win team. We've got a lot of sophomores that are growing and developing this year. The difference is right now I've also got 4 upperclassmen who can carry and help things go, so to speak. And all 4 of these guys sitting here with us for different reasons have shown a lot of maturity, both on the floor, off the floor. Their leadership aspects have been great, and I think that's a big key right now as to why some of those underclassmen have been coming along the way that they have.
Yeah, they've been getting their reps too, and I know we have Owen here in studio. Owen's been the commander on the court, if you will, for a couple years now, and only a junior. So you guys getting the reps, getting the plays, starting to pay off. Let's talk about that sectional. I mean, I think I said this last week, the week before, about how that's probably one of the most underrated, if not most competitive sectionals that you're going to see in Indiana right now.
In 5 of the 8 teams, if you take it from like a Sagarin rating, and some people, speak that like it's the Bible or like it's gospel or whatever terminology you want to use, but we're all within 2 to 3 Sagarin points of each other. So basically, for listeners at home that aren't very familiar with what I'm talking about, that's a coin flip game. Especially when you're at a neutral site, you're not going to have your home crowd behind you on either team. Hopefully big followings come out. But, between Tri and Morristown, which I would consider 2 favorites, they're playing each other right off the bat on the top side. Us and South, probably 2 favorites, playing each other on the bottom side. Waldron's in there as well. They're also on the top side. So, we got 5 teams there that should produce some pretty good basketball games at Sectional 59.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not a fan. I keep saying this. I'm not a fan of draws for sectional, and this is why. Because now you do this draw instead of seeding them, and you have you and South, which is going to pull probably the biggest crowd of the sectional minus the championship game, or maybe more than a championship game because it's a rivalry, and you get that right out of the gate. And then you also have the Morristown and Tri right out of the gate, which is going to be another big draw just because of they're the home team and the chance to win. And so if you're in terms of a tournament, your excitement could just be gone first round.
Yeah, it could be very anticlimactic, and I heard the terminology a few different times this week. I'm not sitting here saying I'm a conspiracy theorist, but for the IHSAA, we call it a sectional draw. I think it's a sectional assignment. I'm not sitting there saying that they're not doing the ping pong balls like they used to, but the one team that you would like to, 2 teams that you would like to avoid is one you've already played twice, or the home team of the sectional. Well, we definitely drew one right away. And we'll go play anybody. You got to beat the best teams to win a sectional typically. But again, it's one of those scenarios where you hope that the bracket works its way out, because you don't want to play a very tough game on, or what you would call maybe the sectional championship on that opening night, and then your next 2 games it's still exciting to win a sectional, no matter what. But my very first year in 2023, we beat South Ripley at South Ripley, and then you get to the championship game and you end up beating Milan by 30 plus points, and still exciting. It was my first one, so there were a lot of things that I can still remember from that night. But again, when it's fourth quarter and you're already up 20 and you're just kind of coasting, it kind of takes the end of game excitement out of it, so to speak.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on here. We got some technical difficulties here with, I got some people saying that we got music in the background or something. Ooh. So we are going to take an unusual pause this morning and see if we can't get figured out. We'll be right back on Overtime in just a second. All right, welcome back to Overtime. Hopefully we got that fixed. We had a little technical difficulty here, but I think we got it going. Let's see if it keeps working here. So again, here we're on Overtime here, joined in studio with Coach Metz and 4 of his players that we'll get to in just a second. But we'll get back to Coach. Coach, you were talking about sectional and the competitiveness and everything, so we can just pick up right there and see how it goes.
Yeah, that sounds good. But going back to what we were talking about in regards to how things play out, you definitely don't want your most exciting matchups being on opening night in an 8-team sectional.
Yeah, and that's, like you said, it's anticlimactic because then you get everybody's out. I mean, I'm not saying that the championship game doesn't pull people in, but I'm not a fan of just the draw, if you will, because I don't think it is a draw.
Right.
Put it on TV. Let me see you pull the numbers out.
Right. And it can become dangerous, and that's why you got to win 3 games in an 8-team sectional to win it, because if you walk into the championship game thinking that it may be an opponent that you've already got, talk about your ultimate slip-up game and find yourself in hot water, making things closely contested with a team that maybe you shouldn't be in a fight with.
Yeah, and also with this sectional, as we come in here, and everybody seems to be clicking too. And again, you guys have played each other, South twice, but the Morristown game was a couple points, and the Tri was a couple points. The second South game was a couple points. So just we know it's going to be competitive.
Yeah, as it should be in Indiana high school basketball, as you hope it would be in Indiana high school basketball. You want to feel like when you're cutting nets down and you're holding the trophy up that you've earned it, so to speak. It makes everything that much better, that much sweeter to continue to build on from a program perspective, and definitely to give these guys memories, from their high school sports careers.
Yeah, and so let's touch on that a little bit. Let's talk about the season. Let's talk about that growth that not in the box score. Would you see this year that really impressed you the most so far? I mean, we still got games to play, but so far.
From all 3 of these guys sitting in here, looking at Garrett and Mason, we can start with those 2 from a senior's perspective. The growth that they've had, not just this year, but from the basketball career perspective, I would say those 2 guys, probably more so than anybody else, do the things that don't show up in the box score necessarily the most. Because as you know, you're not always going to have 5 guys on the floor that 20. You're not always going to have 5 guys on the floor that are going to grab 15 so rebounds, so to speak. But getting after it, hustles, those sorts of things, the growth that these 2 provide for us, the impact they provide for us on the floor has just consistently gotten better, to where, our last 8 games, I believe, 8-9 games at least since Batesville, Mason's leading us in rebounds. He's leading us in the VPS stat that we talked about last time I was on the radio show. And then Garrett been able to be very critical with our defensive assignments, coming up with key steals, deflections, those sorts of things. And then Logan here, he's had a rough go at it, if you will, the last month of the season. Flew B at the wrong time, knocked him out a couple games. Finally getting back, then he gets knocked out a game with a little knee injury there, and kept him out. What, Logan? 2 games?
Yeah,
with the knee. But we were able to get him back in against Rushville the other night, and we talked last time we were on air about him kind of getting thrown into the spotlight, so to speak, as a sophomore mid-season, and just continues to grow and provide that offensive capability. I think Logan probably agreed, want to be more consistent. All right, but in any given night, he's capable of going off for 20. What did you have against South? 27 last time we played, or Batesville?
Yeah, 27.
But he always gives us that threat. Somebody's got to be guarded. And then Owen and Logan. But figuring out how tough it is to go from maybe being a guy playing a pretty big role to now, especially this year, you're thrown into the spotlight and you got to be the guy. And the pressure that comes with that is something that, unless you've been there, it's really not something you can truly comprehend or try to explain. Knowing night in and night out that you've got to show up. Your roles probably are bigger, maybe more so than anybody else's on the team from a carrying perspective to ensure that for us to have a chance to win, they've got to show up and perform. And they both have done that throughout the course of this season, and it's definitely not easy being the guy from the point guard perspective. There's a lot of times that we'll talk about who's the most valuable guy on the floor, and you can point to 3 or 4 different guys as to what they do. But, for me, a lot of it circles back to, well, these guys maybe aren't going to be in position to be able to help us at all if we don't get the ball across half court or go against the pressure or against the full court press. And Owen provides a lot of that dynamic for us in addition to the other things he can do for us from a half court perspective. So the growth by the upperclassmen have been great. The underclassmen, I talked about them just a little bit as a whole there a few minutes ago, but I got to give a big shout out to Wyatt Reisman. But first half of this season, he was struggling, and I don't think he would argue with me on that. But since probably our Batesville game, maybe a couple games before, he really started coming around, and he's actually been our leading scorer overall since we played Batesville, and that was January 30th, I believe. And he definitely provides us with an extra offensive threat that you've got to pay attention to on the floor. And I think Owen and Logan would probably both agree it allows them to be freed up a little bit more, whereas they don't have extra eyes on them on the offensive possessions, because now you do have to worry about our third guy. And then you go down through, Matt Fields has been a steady presence for us. He's ebbed and flowed. Basketball is a thing he gets to do to be extra competitive, and he does good things for us. He's got a high IQ and sees the floor really well. I think right now he's second in assists for us, so from a facilitation standpoint, he does some good things. And another kid who's came along here the last 4 or 5 games and provided some defense for us, and in addition to some scoring and is playing well within his role, is Henry Kinker. Henry provides us with, he's very quick laterally, he's strong, and he can be a matchup guy for us. I think the other night when Garrett was out of the game and Wyatt was out of the game, we put him on Rushville's leading scorer, and he's probably given up 6 inches and probably 15, 20 pounds. And I thought, Henry, if he's going to do anything, he's going to play hard and he's going to be gritty and hard-nosed, and that's something that he provides for us. And then, the other 2 guys, the other 2 sophomores, Charlie Palmer gives us a big inside threat, whereas Mason may be more of a get off the floor, play up around the rim, grab rebound kind of guy. We've got Chuck who provides us with the ability to, you're not going to move him if he doesn't want to be moved. So when you've got that matchup, and his IQ is high from that standpoint too, where he can clog up the lane, he can garner great posting position, he can garner great rebounding position. So he just gives us the opposite end of the spectrum from a big guy's perspective than what Mason may. And then lastly, Sam. And Sam's another one. Talk about Logan dealing with some things, and nobody's probably 100% healthy as a team this time around or this time of the season. But Sam's been working through a couple back issues, if you will. And the Waldron game, he is capable of being at least 2, if not 3 3-point per game scorer. Night in and night out. He just provides that threat. He's got a sweet stroke. He's a lefty. And when he is feeling good, and when I say that I mean physically, he can be a difference maker for us. So he definitely gives us an extra dynamic if we want to go small and just spread the floor and play with shooters around Owen. So a very good makeup of guys. I feel like I've got one of everything, and we're starting to put it all together.
Yeah, and what I like about, you saying you're putting it all together is you guys, like I keep saying, clicking at the right time. And again, it seems like everybody, it's what you want. You want to click right now. Like, you want everything, all the kinks worked out, going into sectional. But what I think makes you guys a threat, too, is you guys have developed and you're at the point where, you're 8 deep are ready to score. They're ready to go. They spread the court. And any one of them can have a big night on any game. And I don't think we could have said that 5 games in or 10 games in this year.
No, you couldn't. And we broke the school record for threes hit in a single game this year. If you go down through our statistics, I think Owen scored over 300 points. Even though Logan's missed 5 games, he's hovering around the 300 mark. And then I've got like 4 or 5 guys after that who scored well over 100 points on the season. And I know statistically over 24 games that doesn't jump out at you and say, you know, these guys are capable of double-digit scoring games. But I've had, if I'm not mistaken, all 9 of us that are on the roster have got to 10 points at least once throughout the course of a season. And that's not an anomaly when you have 5. You can say that about 5 or 6 of your guys. When you say that about 9 of them, it definitely speaks to the dynamic that we're able to play with.
Yeah, and real quick interrupt. We had some issues, not with our live feed, but we had some issues with listeners wherever you're at. And again, we appreciate you tuning in. But we had some issues with some feedback, but I guess we got it all fixed now. So we're good to go. But again, in studio here with North Decatur varsity boys coach PJ Metz, and he's got 4 players with him today, and we'll get to them in just a second. But Coach is just talking about the positives of the team this year and things we're seeing. Things he's seen throughout the year and the growth and how much better they are going into sectional. So let's just stay on that for a little bit and talk about the leadership role of these 4 here before we transition into them.
Yeah, and definitely would like to hear, we have conversations with these guys as a group, one-on-one sometimes. But one key thing that we talked big time when we got back from Rushville was keeping everybody close-knit together. Last year I can think back to the group that we had. We lost our last 2 games, Southwestern Shelby and Rushville. And those guys were primarily made up of seniors along with a couple underclassmen. But they knew this was their last ride and they wanted to get it done. So one thing I expressed to the captains was, get with these guys in the locker room, make sure everybody's, not that the world is not ending, but make sure we're still on the same page, we're still fighting for the same goal. And one thing that I talk about, if you haven't been there, it's hard to fully explain, but leadership is lonely, especially when you got to have hard decisions and make tough things. Like we might be competitors, but these guys are also friends with some of the guys they got to lead. So sometimes having hard conversations is not easy, and you feel like, man, I may be sacrificing maybe part of my friendship, but if I know this is in the best interest of the team, sometimes that's a decision that has to be made. So, from a growth perspective and maturity perspective, I think that these guys have done a great job kind of grasping that and making sure that, hey, what I'm saying right now may not be popular with the majority, but it needs said, because that's what's going to ultimately get us to our ultimate goal right now, which is the sectional championship.
Yeah, and it seems like the camaraderie's there too. This group seems like they're gelling, and for the most part, they don't have a problem getting those tough conversations from, say, Owen here or Odell. They respond well.
Yeah, they do, and I don't ever really feel like, a lot of groups that I have, over the course of the year, you could probably look at these 3 guys kind of splinter off and do their thing, or these 4 guys go do their own thing. Like, when these guys are all around each other, whether it be in a practice or on the bus or, in the locker room, so to speak, I feel like they get along well. Like you said, they got a good mixture of personalities that all seem to bond together and play well within each other. They're still, just like with all of us in all phases and aspects of our life, there's some growing up to do sometimes, socially, maturity-wise, competitive-wise, but a lot of times when the switch needs flipped, these guys are able to have the conversation and flip the switch and get us to where we need to be.
Yeah, and so let's just go ahead and before we transition to our second segment, let's go ahead and have them introduce themselves, Coach, and we'll start here on my right, and if you're watching on YouTube, we'll start, still on the right here with, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Mason Coons.
I'm Logan Odell.
I'm a junior. I'm Owen Rennekamp.
I'm Garrett Schwaring, a senior.
Okay, so let's just start here with Mason. Mason, what's got you excited? A little taste before we go into the break, because Mason, you got something that you like to do, don't you?
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't watched, Mason likes to be a high flyer at times. So Mason, you got a favorite dunk this year?
Well, this year I only have one, so I mean it'd probably be the Knightstown alley-oop. That'd probably be my favorite one this year.
Take us through that play. Take these listeners and those watching on YouTube. Take us through that play, and what's going through your mind as you execute that play and leave the floor.
Well, I set the screen and then I rolled, and then as soon as I turned around, the ball was pretty much in the air, so I just had to go up and grab it, and yeah.
So are you more nervous going into the play, or are you confident, or do you leave that ground and you're thinking, oh man, this crowd's gonna?
Well, I feel like I was pretty confident in it, that it would go pretty good, and yeah.
Okay. Logan Odell, you've hit some big shots this year. Take us through what you feel some of your biggest shots you've hit this year.
Well, I have a couple that come to mind, just two I think right now. The first one was the Madison game. I had an overtime tying shot just to send the game into overtime, and then we ended up beating them. So that one was kind of cool because I lost the ball, and there was like maybe 5 seconds left, and lost the ball. Had to go up and like pick it up off the ground, and then just kind of fade away, chuck it into the hole, and it went in. And so that was a kind of...
Sure you want to say chuck it with Coach sitting there? You're supposed to say, I thought about it, I analyzed the court.
Yeah, definitely a good shot that was just happened to go in, And then the second one was definitely the South game, the game-winning shot. We were tied 68-68, I think. And one of the last plays of the game, Owen drove on the left side, defense pinched, he kicked it right to me, and I was ready, and I shot it, and it went in, and it was just a really nice feeling that you just don't get very often. So you just kind of live it up, and it was a fun game.
Owen Rennekamp Jr., so you got another year back. Just briefly talk about that because you played quite a bit last year as well, obviously. And you had a senior ahead of you last year, right? No, 2 years ago. Sorry, 2 years ago. You had Muckerhide ahead of you, right? And then you come in and basically you're commanding the court. Just talk about that process real quick about watching and learning from an upperclassman like Muckerhide who goes on that year to break the school, right? He's the leading scorer now at North.
Assist leader, steal leader, pretty much every category.
Yeah, assist, steals, lead. I mean, just talk about how that helped make you the player you are this year.
Yeah, definitely watching Caden my freshman year was good for me to learn how he works and what he does to be the best that he is. And freshman year was definitely a big learning experience, just watching him play and practice, but I didn't really get to play that much, but learning from him was great. And then sophomore year I got thrown in to starting varsity, which is a big jump for me, and like learning, getting up to game speed with them, and then learning from all the other seniors and upperclassmen was big. And finally, at the end of the year, I started to take over almost, and I think I was leading in scoring and assists towards the end of the year. And then now I'm an upperclassman now, and I got a year under my belt, and this year it's been a big jump, and now I'm leading us in points and assists and kind of taking command of being a leader now since I'm an upperclassman and teaching the sophomores, all them, how to lead and example.
So as you talk about going through that growth process for you as a player and as a leader and as a person, what's just a couple things here? I don't want to get too philosophical and too deep on the radio here, but just what's some things that you learned working or, being that underclassman, watching the upperclassmen? What's some things you learned that you are making sure that you're doing now as the upperclassman for those underclassmen?
Definitely trying to be more like a vocal leader, but even if I'm not like a big vocal leader, try to lead by my actions on what I do and show them like what hard work and how it'll pay off in the long run.
Okay. Garrett Swearing, senior. Garrett, you've taken a different route. Let's just talk about that. Talk about your process for a little bit here and how you got to where you're at.
Yeah, just never giving up, really. If there's one thing I can take away from basketball and give to the younger ones is to never give up. You're going to get to where you want to be with anything in life by working hard and continuing on with it.
So this time last year, you were playing mainly JV, right?
Yep.
And then this year you have pretty big role.
Yeah.
On the varsity. So just talk about that. Talk about that transition and that mentality to get there.
Playing JV for a couple years and then jumping into varsity is very eye-opening. It's the speed of the game, just how everything is ran is eye-opening. So that's been a fun experience. But just bringing what I bring to the team and with everyone else has been great.
Yeah, because you play a role. You play a role, and you know that.
Yeah.
And you're willing to accept that. And in doing that, I think that impacts your team even more, right?
I think in today's, with most people, it's kind of hard to accept the fact of being a role player, but to be a good team and to be a productive team, you got to have those. So just accepting your role and playing into it, there's a reason you're that role player because you bring that aspect to the team, so it'll make your team click together.
All right, well said. We're going to pause here for some advertisements. I'm Nick Messer, and you're listening to Overtime, and we'll be right back with the North Decatur boys basketball coach, PJ Metz, and some of his players. All right, welcome back to Overtime. I'm your host, Nick Messer. Again, joined in studio here today with a North Decatur boys basketball head coach, PJ Metz, also senior Mason Kuntz, senior Logan Odell, senior Garrett Schwerin, and the lone junior Owen Rennekamp. So let's just get right back in here and talk to some of the players. Mason, we'll come back over to you. Just talk about your growth as well, Mason, because your path was a little different as well in terms of to get where you're at now. So just talk about how you keep focused to get where you're at.
Yeah, I started out on JV, and last year I did. I had 2 quarters JV, and then I sat on varsity and got a couple minutes, and it was just a really eye-opening experience coming from only a couple minutes of varsity last year to a lot of minutes this year, and it was just, you just got to keep working, and yeah.
So going into sectional, what would you say is your most memorable or proudest moment so far in your career at North Decatur?
I'd say probably winning sectionals last year. That was like a really big thing. It was really fun and just a amazing experience.
Yeah. And again, that's what for those of you listening and watching, these guys are the defending sectional champs. So they're going in there knowing what it takes, because all 4 of you were on that team last year. All 4 of you were there and watched, how hard it is. All 4 of you have watched how difficult it is and the emotions. And so you guys bring that. I'm not 100% sure on the others. I know you guys played Edinburgh, wasn't it, last year in the championship, Coach? I don't think Edinburgh returned a whole lot. I could be wrong. One guy. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, in my opinion, that matters. Like, I think you guys hold the edge in terms of experience because you are the defending sectional champs, and that does matter in the world of things. But all right, Logan Odell, let's go to you. Talking injuries and things, I know you've had a few this year, and probably not the senior year you thought you were going to have. I know you thought you'd be scoring 40 a game and 10 for 10 behind the three-point line,
sure.
and
Yeah.
15 for 15 from the free throw line, but hasn't quite went that way, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You've been there when they needed you, but just take us through what's going on, what's your mindset, and how do you keep positive when you have those setbacks?
Well, I've had a couple conversations with my dad about it. It's just kind of, it's out of my hands. It's God's plan for what He wants me to do with my life. And if it means taking out a couple games from my senior year, that's what happens. You just gotta have a positive mindset coming into it, and just keeping your hopes up and hoping that you're gonna get back into the game, which happened for me. I've had a good recovery from my knee, and I'm hoping to be 100% for South Decatur. So.
Okay, and you bounce back and have a couple games. So let's just talk about, or have you? What is your most? It doesn't have to be this year even. What's your most memorable moment as a senior in your basketball career at North Decatur?
Well, I do want to say the sectional win last year, but Mason did say that. The regional game, I think, was pretty fun. Just playing in that gym that we got to play in, and being in that experience, like the week leading up to regional, and the ride home on the bus from the sectional win, and the pep rallies and all the stuff that comes with that. I think that's what I'll remember most from my career.
Yeah, and that excitement. That was a pretty big crowd at that regional. Coach Tyler Johnson, the North Decatur girls varsity coach, and I are the ones that called that regional game last year, and that was a really good environment. Honestly, that place was packed. Absolutely loved their, scoreboard or Gametron or whatever they had on the wall. That was amazing. But yeah, I think that atmosphere was great, and it's just they're memories that you guys are going to make along the way, and hopefully you get to make those this year too. Owen, let's go over to you. I know you're only a junior, but what's something that you're proud of this year? What's your most or best memory, or whatever term you want to call it, this year or in your career so far?
This year, probably I'd want to say definitely beating South Decatur at home. That environment was something else that really you don't play in besides like sectional play. And pulling out the game-winning pass to Logan and just seeing the crowd erupt was something to see. Then definitely, but my favorite would probably be sectional, just because it's one goal that you have all year and all the practices and games leading up to it, and then just achieve that goal and then like just live the moment with the crowd and all the games leading up to it is something to see. And then just standing on that ladder and cutting the nets down is a memorable moment.
Garrett, what about you? What stands out in your North Decatur career as your best moment so far?
One game that really sticks out most was senior night. I had a pretty good game, but outside of that, everybody had a good game. It was a good team win, so that was a pretty memorable night. We were all having fun. Everything was clicking, but then also, sectionals, that's always a good memory. And lastly, just being with the team, that's going to be a memory and connections that last a lifetime. All the times in the locker room, going out to eat together, just creating that bond that'll last a lifetime.
So as you, obviously, again, I got to be careful how I word this, but because you guys do have sectional coming up, but at the end of your career, when this year's over, whether that be semi-state, sectional, regional, whenever, how do you want to be remembered at North Decatur?
I want to be remembered for just going hard and leaving everything on the court, just never leaving anything left on the table, giving it all I have, and creating those extra opportunities on the floor for my team.
All right, Owen, I'm going to skip over you, and we're going to head down here to these two seniors. So, Logan Odell, senior, what do you want your legacy to be? How do you hope you're remembered next year when these underclassmen move up? What do you want them to say about you?
Well, I'm just hoping that they can consider my positive mindset throughout practice and games, and just seeing the way I play and how I'm just like I feel like I'm more of a humble kind of player sometimes. If somebody starts like getting in my head, maybe I can get worked up a bit, but I try to stay, as humble as I can. I just hope that they can consider that and not try to get worked up every game and just keep pushing forward and working hard.
Yeah, next play mindset.
Yeah.
Good point. All right. Mason Coons, what do you want your legacy? How do you want to be remembered when your time's done playing basketball at North?
I feel like I kind of hope that they just see that I played hard every game, tried my hardest, and just gave everybody our team the best opportunity to win every time we came on the floor. And I feel like if I gave my all every time.
Okay. All right, let's get to the fun questions now. We'll stay there on Mason. Mason, take us through, Mason Coons Sr., take us through a game day for you. You got any rituals, any superstitions?
No, not really. I mean, I go to McDonald's before almost every game. That's about it.
All right, McDonald's. So that rolls right into my next question. Pre-game meal, what are you eating?
Cheeseburger and a 10-piece nugget.
Okay. What are you drinking?
Either a chocolate milkshake or a Dr. Pepper, probably.
Holy cow, chocolate milkshake. I'd need a nap before a game, man. Logan Odell, take us through your game day. What are you doing? Any superstitions, and what's your pregame meal?
Well, I also go to McDonald's before every game. So most of the time I see Mason there. My pregame meal, I get the $5 meal deal, little cheap thing.
Baller on a budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
And most of the time I'll get a high C. I don't want any pop or anything like carbonated before a game.
You realize that high C has probably more sugar than the other pop.
Well, they said it's got vitamins in it, so I tend to lean more towards the vitamins.
That's like saying his milkshake has vitamins in it.
I'll listen to whatever the ingredients are and whatever, but I don't really know if I have any more rituals that I do before a game.
Okay, we'll slide over here to Junior Owen Rennekamp. Take us through a game day for you. Any rituals, any superstitions, and pregame meal?
I used to have a lot. I used to sophomore year, I definitely had a ritual, I had the same meal, but this year I kind of just let loose of that, and after school I think we all pile up in cars and ride together and all go get something to eat, and then kind of stay together and bond before the game, and then when we get back to school, we all chill in the locker room for a little bit, listen to music and talk to each other, then when it's time we all go out there and just get ready.
So what's your pregame meal? What are you eating before a game?
It has changed a lot this year. I don't really have one.
Okay. Garrett Schwerin, what's your rituals? You wear, two left shoes, two left socks, anything weird?
No, nothing weird. I don't change my ritual before a game. I just do my normal thing, and that changes every day. I never know what I'm doing after school, so never go anywhere in particular to get food. And one thing about this team is we don't really have a pre-game superstition or something we all do together before a game. We all just do our own thing to get ready and prepared for the game. We go out and just play how we're going to play and don't worry about that other stuff to get ready.
Okay. Mason Coons, what's on your game day? What's your game day song? What do we listen to?
It's not. I don't really listen to a one song. It's just anything. Just I don't know, country. Just a country playlist or something like that, probably.
Okay. All right. Logan Odell, what do you listen to pregame?
I like to listen to some rock and roll. Maybe some AC/DC or some Motley Crue, just to get myself hyped up, get myself in the right mindset.
Okay. Owen Rennekamp, what do you listen to? What's your
I don't really have a song, but definitely in the locker room. I think we're probably playing like more like hype music or like some rap usually, and then kind of bring that music out to the court too as we're warming up too, getting ready.
Okay. Garrett Schwerin, what's your game day music? What will you listen to?
Whatever they have turned on in the locker room. I don't really care. I'll just listen to whatever.
Okay. All right. Well. All right, guys. Well, I do appreciate you guys coming in, taking time out. I know you guys would rather be sleeping than spending quality time with me this morning on the radio, and so thank you for coming in. I do wish you guys best of luck Wednesday night, 7:30 at Tri, and you guys are going to be the home team for that game. So,
They do think it'll be more like 8 tip, is what we were told.
yeah, probably. You're probably right. It'd probably be closer to an 8 o'clock tip, but it's scheduled 7:30. So, I don't know if you want a seat, get there at 5:30.
There you go.
Be one of those people. But all right, guys. I'm going to give you guys, we used to call it a final take, and the creative people said that I need to call it last time out instead of final take. So we're going to start calling it the last time out. So that is when you guys get to say your thank yous or whatever you want to anybody you want. So we'll start with Garrett Schwerin and take your last time out.
I just want to thank, my team, all the coaches for everything they support me with, my family, of course, and then just all the supportive teachers and everyone at school that are always there to support us and just there for us when we need it.
Okay. Owen Rennekamp, Jr., got another year left, but for now, go ahead and take your last time out.
I'm going to give a big shout out to my grandma and niece. She's one reason why I keep going. Then my mom, my dad, and then my brother too, and then my rest of my family and friends, and my coaches and my teammates.
Okay. Logan Odell, Senior, North Decatur, last time out.
I'd like to thank my parents a lot and my grandparents. They come and support me every time, every game. My teammates for just being there for me whenever I need them. My coaches for always having my back, And there's just a lot of friends out there who just support me in every way, and they're just always there for me.
All right, Mason Kuntz, Senior.
I just want to thank my parents and my grandparents for coming on my games, and my teammates and my coaches for supporting and believing in me.
Okay. Again, appreciate you guys coming on here overtime. I know you'd rather be sleeping, but thank you. Appreciate it. Best of luck. Switch back over here to Coach PJ Metz here real quick. Coach, same scenario here. We'll just start wrapping things up. I know it was kind of a weird start with our, I don't even know what was going on, but we refreshed it, we restarted her, and now everybody can hear us. So, Coach, we'll just go with you, and you can call your last time out as well.
Yeah, from a thanking perspective, the guys here that sacrifice, especially not just the single sport guys that are with me year round, weightlifting and limited conditioning and in the off season, but the multi and the 3-sport guys that also come into the winter, which, if you're not a basketball first guy, the winter season is a long season, the longest of all the sports seasons. And some guys, try to be very flexible with, they got baseball going on, golf going on, football going on, continuing to show up and compete with us as well, because at a small school, it definitely gives us an advantage to have all these athletes coming out and playing and helping make us as successful as we could possibly be. Fans perspective, staff perspective, I couldn't do what I do without all of them as well. And then lastly, everybody that's, whether you've been to a game this year, you've sponsored something this year, my list is very, very long in regards to the people that are able to give and able to help us be the program that we want to be, whether it's down at the youth levels or all the way up to the varsity level. Got a lot of people that give a lot of their time, a lot of their money, and it is definitely something that is appreciated by us, appreciated by these guys, allows us to do certain things that maybe without that kind of support we wouldn't be able to. So thank you to everybody who's had a hand in helping make our program as successful as what it's been.
All right. Again, Coach, I thank you for coming in too. I know I'm not your priority either. You need to probably be game planning or or something for Wednesday night. But again, I appreciate it. I always do. It's always a great conversation when you're on here, and I wish you best of luck Wednesday night. Again, that's Wednesday night at scheduled for 7:30. Probably going to be closer to an 8 tip-off, just the way the sectional goes. Just be prepared. If that first game goes to overtime, you may be looking at 8:15, 8:30 tip-off. Again, that's at Tri. North Decatur will be wearing their classic white home uniforms for that game, so show up, show them some love. That's kind of going to be an out-of-the-county rivalry as they play South Decatur. And as we've talked on here, you know, you got the North, South, and then you got the Tri and Morristown on the upper bracket. So kind of some sectional anticlimactic games thanks to the IHSAA, which, I mean, I wish they'd listen, but they don't listen. So maybe they'll tune into overtime and listen to some changes. But, again, thank you guys for coming on. We're starting to run out of time, and I noticed that the Coach Jason Simpson is in the next room getting ready for Beyond the Game at 9 o'clock. And so with that, guys, again, thank you for coming in. I'll be back here, same place, same time next Saturday, 8 a.m. for overtime. Again, just Wednesday, I want to reiterate one more time as I get some emails and things. That is a Wednesday night game scheduled for 7:30, probably closer to 8 at Tri, North, the Classic White home team. I'm Nick Messer, and this has been Overtime.